turning back.
Welcome to the Last Boy Scouts podcast. Danny, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing really good.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a lot of excited energy going on lately.
It's honest. Honestly, I've been ebbing and flowing a lot. Like you were in Mexico, and I was it was pretty dark for me here. I'll be honest. It was pretty dark. It was, dealing with a little bit of my own demons, a little anxiety, little battles in my head.
The holiday seasons kind of bring that amongst us, especially like for me, because like I did not have good holiday seasons.
Yeah.
It's not like Missy fights with me because only the last couple of years do I really appreciate what she does. I posted a bunch of pictures on Instagram because she loves, but she had great Christmases.
Yeah.
Her Christmas started, her dad always put up the Christmas tree. He always put up the Christmas decorations Thanksgiving Day. So they would all do it. And not me. We maybe got Christmas up about a week prior. My mom was always really good. But my dad was never around and 5 kids. I always remember feeling like, man, that's not really what I wanted. That's not what I asked. I made a Christmas list. Yeah. Santa didn't pay attention to my Christmas list.
Right.
But my mom did great. She had to budget for 5 kids by herself.
Yeah. That's tough, man. Like
tough.
Even as I do it for my 3, I'm like, what? What are we doing? There's so much consumerism around it, but I'm very in a similar vein, right? Like Christmas is for me in fairness to my parents, they did the best they could, right? My dad always had Christmas. We had some great memories, but I have some real pain points with Christmas.
Sure.
And I told my Instagram stories a few weeks ago about the eviction my mom had on Christmas.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. You were in paradise. I didn't explain. But it like for me, and I was the same way. My ex was always like, why are you so gloomy around the holidays? And I'm like, well, Thanksgiving and Christmas were always when my parents would really get at each other.
Oh, sure.
There was always some battle. There was always this anxiety about who I've got to pick to be with. Mm-hmm. And it's been really hard for me not to project my experience on my own kids as I deal with it now. So in addition to that, I had my accident was just, December 18th.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
So if you've listened to the accident episode that happened in December, right? I have some pretty imprinted trauma around Christmas, but this year I felt like it was a turning point for me starting at Thanksgiving.
Sure.
How was your Thanksgiving, by the way? What did you?
It was good. It was mellow. It was super mellow because Braxton's not in town. So Braxton, as you guys know, is my older son. He's not in town. Tristan had to work.
Yeah.
And so even that was kind of crazy for us. We went to our parents' house. Went to Misty's dad's house, and it's always fun up there. I have a great relationship with her dad. And we went up there, and we actually went to my mom's house, and Misty's and my mom's relationship is pretty contentious at times, They've got really big, strong personalities, and with heritage, I kind of protected my mom a lot. Yeah. And luckily, Misty stuck through with me through some times when, I probably should have asked my mom, hey, don't do that kind of stuff. I should have been a little bit better with my wife and saying, hey, you can't do that.
We spend so much time as young children, young men, protecting them.
Oh, for sure.
As boys of single mothers, right? We protect them. And to their own detriment, right? There's probably a point where we have to start calling them on that. You're an adult.
Yeah, you have to
start acting like one.
Yeah, and my mom is great. My mom and I's relationship is great. Just her and Misty's relationship not so good. Yeah. But they're getting better. And so we actually went to my mom's house, which was actually really cool because we went there and hung out there, and they talked a little bit. And so I think things are going to start moving towards us fixing that part of our relationship. But it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm married to Misty, so I kind of give her the space to do however she wants, right? Yeah. And then we went to Misty's aunt's house. We just did a little bit of round in Layton, and she got some really cool she's so into old furniture and
Oh yeah.
you know, she
Yeah.
talks to you about this all the time.
Yeah.
Like you guys have that connection where you guys can talk about it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like looking at you two, like, what in the world are you two
Nerds.
talking about?
Let's go antiquing.
Yeah. But she got this blanket holder.
Oh, cool.
And it is cool. So she had some blankets on there today, and I was like, man, that really is kind of cool, you know? And so that was it. We were mellow, came back home, chilled, and just hung out. We knew we were going to Mexico, so we didn't want to get a Christmas tree so quick. I was kind of worried about Tristan not watering it, and so terrified that he's going to kill it, you know?
Yeah.
What did you guys do?
Man, this year was not my year with the kids.
Oh, yeah.
So I am proud to say that I didn't eat one bite of turkey.
Oh,
no stuffing, no gravy, none of it. I didn't have any
turkey.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love a good turkey. I love the stuffing. I love, this, I love, but I'm trying to change my own narrative around the holidays.
Sure.
And so I really just went to myself and said, what do you want to do?
Sure.
And the kids got up early and, went with their mom, and I went and did early morning yoga.
Oh, cool.
After yoga, I, came home and showered and went up to, just out in the woods, went up, got a little bit of elevation.
Sure.
I just sat there and journaled for a little bit. And then, I headed down to Salt Lake and served dinner to the homeless population here in Salt Lake. Just did some service. I did a lot of service when I was a member of the church.
Oh, you did?
Since then, service in the terms that the members are serving other members, right?
Sure.
Right. I'm assuming they're doing better now since I've left, but they don't really get outside of their own community. But I do miss that aspect of serving,
right.
just doing some service.
Yeah.
And so it was really awesome to be able to just say, hey, I've got so much, it's a matter of retraining my brain. I have so much.
Sure.
Even though I'm stressed about a lot of things, I've got my own issues. I'm just going to get out there and I'm going to serve. Very interesting to see the homeless population here in Salt Lake, largely male.
Oh, yeah.
Largely male. And, I'm not going to say that they're the most grateful people when that's happening, right? I'm sure that they wish this kind of service these kind of opportunities were happening all year round,
sure, yeah,
right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We kind of put on airs and say, oh, we're serving Thanksgiving, for the homeless population, but they probably wish that there were services for them year round. Man, I wish I had more ability to tap into some of the mental and psychological things I could see just going through my own journey. That they need services.
Sure.
They need help, and they don't know how to get that help. And
we don't do a good job with our homeless community. I don't think we with helping them with the things that they need.
Right.
Right. When I drive past them and I'm like, man, every once in a while I have those feelings of I just wish I knew how they got there.
Right.
Right. What happened?
Right.
What happened? Some of them probably it's just their life and they understand it. Right.
Yeah. I think it's that learned pattern of helplessness, right?
Sure.
You just give up, you stop trying, or you are trying and you just get beat down that you eventually give up. I don't know that there's one common denominator for them. I'm sure, I could definitely tell there were some people struggling with addiction.
Sure.
The biggest thing that I saw was just the need for mental health services
for sure.
amongst the community.
Yeah. We kind of had that conversation with Jesse today too. Huh?
Yeah. And I mean, it's really difficult, right? You give too much and people start expecting.
Sure.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I think you do what you can and you say at some point, like Jordan Peterson says, you have to be willing to treat yourself as somebody that's worth taking care of.
Yeah. That's worth it. Yeah. Did you get to see Doug? Yeah.
And then, so I was down in Salt Lake. I haven't been down in Salt Lake in, a while. So I went down and visited my dad. He's healing from his surgery.
I remember you telling me.
Yeah. He's doing well. His fingers look like sausages, but he fell off a ladder. The dude's climbed ladders his whole career, never fall. And I've seen pictures of him on just some wacky ass ladder positions and, fell off a 4-foot ladder.
He just wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, he's like, man, if we're a little taller, I'd probably get my feet under me. But yeah, he couldn't get it. He couldn't get it. He was smoking a turkey, but then I wanted to be alone. Like I wanted to just. So I came back to my house. It was empty. Put on a movie and heated up some leftovers. And was just like at peace with myself.
Sure, yeah,
at peace with myself. And
that's cool.
Had a really good Thanksgiving.
Good for you, man. Like that. It's good for you to put into perspective of like what's good for you. What do you want to do, especially like without your kids and without those responsibilities of making sure that they have a good Thanksgiving. Because Cammie had them, and Cammie's family's big, so that's great.
Yeah, right? No, they had a great Thanksgiving. And so it was about me and like really just like how do I heal my own emotional trauma around what I grew up with the holidays.
Sure. Yeah, I forgot you went to the yoga because we had open mat that morning, and it was insane. That open mat was crazy.
Was it busy?
It was just the right amount of people, right? Yeah, but it was also like just the right amount of belt level, right? And so we had that, and it was funny because I think people like kind of sometimes lump you and I together, but they were like, "Where's Tyler?" And I was like, "I don't know. He had some date with some ladies at the yoga or something like that." And they laughed and they were like,
"Right?
Wait, what? He went to yoga?" And I was like, "Yeah. I mean, he didn't want to come to jiu-jitsu, and he had that plan already." And so, but I think sometimes like that people will just always assume that like I know where you are, where you are in your training, right? Like. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I didn't check on him today.
There's one yoga studio here in Heber, and I've been going to it, at least once a week, right? Sure. And Casey, the owner, and her yogis or whatever you call them. I mean, she made a point to reach out very early on, and I'm like, I figured we'd probably have something on Thanksgiving, but nothing was planned, and when she reached out, I was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go."
Yeah, ours took a moment to.
Really? Packed. It was packed. It was the most people I've seen in her studio.
Oh, really?
It was sweaty and gross, and I'm like, I used to think that like jiu-jitsu was a little, like the yoga was a little bit like less smelly.
Sure, yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no,
they stunk.
It's dead. It's done.
It's funny because Misty had class in that morning as well. She had a class at the Fit Stop, and she said that it was wall-to-wall people in the class, and I was like, man, that's cool. I think doing that kind of thing in the morning, like earning your meal is kind of cool. And so the episode came out, the last episode came out just right after
Black Friday.
Yeah, Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
And that in itself, like that week leading up to it, because of the episode, I'd had a couple beers, thinking it, and I was like, man, was I running of the mouth? I remember calling you and being like, hey, dude, I maybe need to listen to that, because I was a little worried that maybe I was like talking, being somebody that I shouldn't be, or that I'm not usually, right?
Right.
But when I listened to it, and when I heard some feedback, like people get into that world sometimes and get stuck. Like, I mean, like I got sucked in. Mm-hmm. I got sucked into a fight on the internet, and I had some emotions about the fact that I was talking about it out loud, right? Because I kind of just wanted to go in my hole and forget the episode even happened, right? And it was cool because I had a couple friends that said, I don't know how many times that's happened to me.
Yeah. Where
I got into a text war or a war that we couldn't see each other's face. And, maybe the fact of the matter is like, I was just being sensitive, or the other person was being sensitive. Mm-hmm. And now we just want to show our masculinity towards each other. Right.
Right.
And, it was cool because I was not as, thoughtless on the episode as I thought.
Yeah.
I still am, I had a good conversation with Professor about it, and about the fact that like, it's not who I am. I'm not the kind of person like I'm not the kind of person that will like talk down to people or correct people unless they have to be, right. But then in that moment, like I kind of needed to self-correct. I needed to self-correct to be like, hey man, don't do that. Don't get caught up in that kind of shit.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting dichotomy, right? Like we practice a martial art,
sure,
right? And there is some pride with where you train, right? And I think at the end of the episode, the overarching message we wanted to share was like, we don't really care where you train.
Sure.
We just want to see you training. Like the more people that are participating in whatever martial art, if it's not academy versus academy, it's, Pepsi versus Coke.
Sure.
It's Apple versus Mac. It's Android versus, iPhone. It's,
Sure.
you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like some of that is somewhat healthy, right? Like, because I remember like we always use the term like ego is not your amigo.
Sure.
Right. And I remember we were we were talking about ego in the academy one day, and Anthony strolls in, and he's an artist, right? And he's like, you need some ego.
Yeah.
Your ego brings your ass back to the mat, right? And like, so there is some pride. There is some pride, and there is some honor, and like you want to represent your gym.
You do. Yeah.
You want to represent your sport, right? Like but at the end of the day, like we're all doing this practice to be better human beings.
Sure. And jiu-jitsu is that kind of a world, right? Where it's hands-on.
Yeah.
Right. So like whenever I give you energy and you and I share energy, we share energy. And if you give me negative energy, then I'm going to probably give you the same kind of energy. And you could look at me and be like, what in the shit did I do? How come you're, and I'm thinking, I'm just matching the energy that you're giving. And you're like, now I have to match. Now it goes back and forth. But if we give each other positive energy, like today when we were training today, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody on the mat was tough.
Yeah.
Right. Even Mitch is like durable. He's older, and he's bless him that he's at his age a white belt and willing to go out there and still train. Like when he looks across and sees Will, he is like
terrified.
Please don't hurt me. Yeah. Cause I'm like, please don't hurt me.
Right.
Please don't hurt me. Cause he's huge, man. And he is learning so much about himself in jiu-jitsu, and he's loving the fact that he's learning jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. But everybody on the mat had positive energy. There was a lot of positive. Professor taught for almost an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. Right. And then we trained, and the training was tough. Like we were not taking it easy on each other, and nobody got mad. Nobody got upset. Everybody looked at each other and was like, that was awesome. Yeah. Right. So we're sharing energy, and that's kind of the same thing. Like in those moments when, when you're losing control of your emotions, and you're losing control of your ego, and you're losing control of who you want to be in that moment, it's just energy. Yeah. Right. And if you can look at it and go, hey, I learned something from it, and I did, I learned, and I know that at this moment that it won't happen tomorrow, right? But who's to say that it's not going to happen the next day or the next day or the next day? And that, whenever I train the next time and somebody gives me negative energy, right, and I don't like it, and I'm like, okay, cool, man.
Right. Well, I mean, like, what's the saying? Old habits die hard.
Sure.
Right. I mean, we are in control. Sure. We do need to learn control. And I think it's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, right? Sure. You learn to control your energy. That feedback is instant. Sure. Right. I'll never forget the day I pushed Anthony the wrong way.
Oh, I remember that.
I was like, nope, wrong thing to do.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I remember the noises. Like the level of noises that were coming from that side of the mat.
Right. It was, you know what I mean? And you don't know until you hit that. And the thing of it is you got to stop taking it personally. Sure. I mean, you can't take anything personally. Sure. And that's hard not to do, right? Like our brain is hardwired for survival.
You're right.
And so when we see a problem like that, our first thing our brain does is jump to like, how do I survive?
Yeah.
What problem do I need to solve to survive?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to protect myself? Am I protecting myself the right way?
Sure.
I remember after that incident with Anthony, I was like, I did something wrong. I didn't realize what I had done wrong. And I just had to ask him. I'm like, hey, I'm here to learn. And I think that to him was probably one of the more endearing parts of that experience was that like, I was like, I was just trying to get the round going. Like I didn't realize, what I did wrong, what protocol, like I'm here to learn, like show me. And then like, it was like, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And those guys are so good at moving on from things. Right. And I think you learn that as we grow through our journey, because we're still pretty like really early in our journey, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a while, and I feel good about like my progression, but I'm really early in my career, right?
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes like I still make mistakes and still have to, toe the line of like making a mistake. Same with you. You're pretty early in your career, right? And so with growing as a man, I think that's part of it is the learning. The fact of the matter is that you're early, like when you're learning, you're like, this is not the 10th, 15th, 20th time I've done this. This is the first time that I've done this. Right. And so letting yourself off the hook. And we've talked about that before, like a lot. Let yourself off the hook, man.
Right.
Let yourself off the hook. Like, don't hold yourself to these like crazy standards every single hour, because we're just not built that way. Right.
Well, I thought it was so cool today as how Professor, he kind of equated it to artistry, right? Like people want to kind of like free form. They want to jam, right? Like he plays the guitar, right? And it resonates with me. My brother and my dad both play guitar, and before you can really, and you play the guitar, like before you can really jam, you have to know some chords, right? You have to know a few notes. You have to know how to strum, or you don't have to know how to. You can't, and like I think we all want to be, we all want to be, we all want to be Picasso, or we all want to be, but you have to learn some of the fundamentals.
Sure.
I mean, it's true with skateboarding. It's true with everything you do.
Right. And even like how we are learning, like as we go with the podcast, like we go episode and episode and episode and episode, and we wanted it to go in like a linear line. Right.
Yeah.
And now we kind of like ad lib a little bit more because we're a little bit more comfortable with talking to each other and using this platform to do, just like you said, like we know a little bit of the structure, right? And so we can like ad lib. But when we first started, we were like, we had our notes.
We got to have a script. We got to have,
yeah. And so learning those little small things and remembering that like it's okay to be a white belt,
right?
Like it's okay to be white belt forever,
right?
Like it's cool, like to come in and be like, hey man, like today I wrote some notes and like we're gonna follow this scripture. And you're like, cool man, I'm cool with that too. Like let's do that.
And it's fine I think it's fine to have some notes, right? Like I always try to take a few moments after a class and jot down.
Yeah, you do.
In my jiu-jitsu journal, like what did I learn? What can I remember? Because you don't retain it all.
Sure.
Right? Like our brains are incredibly complex. We retain so little.
So little, yeah.
If I hear the saying, like, it's like drinking from a fire hose one more time, I'm going to lose my shit. Like, everything is like drinking from a fire hose. Yeah. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Yeah. It's such a funny thing that people say that all the time.
Drinking from a fire hose. Have you seen those videos of like guys that are like, there's one guy on the fire hose? I'm going to have Jesse tell us about, it's like one guy and he's like flinging around. Like, you can't drink from a fucking fire hose. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. It's impossible.
Yeah. It's literally cannot do.
Yeah.
It's not like you'd put you're right. Yeah. That's bullshit. That's a bullshit, analogy.
That is a bullshit analogy.
But it's funny because people get it, right?
Let's kill it from our lexicon.
Yeah, no, that's cool. No, and so, that was good, man. Like that was a fun, I thought it was a fun listen when I listened to it and remembered the how I felt, the day of, because I was still pretty hot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I had those moments of embarrassment, and then I had those moments of like, shit, I'm probably going to have to toe the line with a couple people if this really gets out.
For sure. Sometimes the piper may call, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody might show up to the gym.
For sure.
We've been inviting them for a long time.
He's like, hey, man, I want to take you up on that offer.
I want to take you.
With his eyes, and you're like, shit.
Oh.
And you're like, hey, I'd rather not. And he's like, but we're going to.
Yeah, well, you put it on the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to figure it out. Yeah. And so, it was cool, man. Like, I was stoked on the whole thing. What is that?
Apparently he was a racetrack.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It sounded like it did sound like that.
Yeah.
Somebody's in the background going 100 miles an hour. Yeah. But what else did we do? We cold plunged.
Oh, the facility, I have to admit, was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, inspiring.
Yeah, it was good. It was cool. We're kind of doing a little look and see how things with the sauna, because we sauna and shower.
Yeah.
Or we sauna, jump in the snow.
We have
Jesse
our own
told
practice.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse told us don't jump in the snow because you might get frostbite. And I was like, well, I don't go in there for that long.
Yeah. It's not like I'm there. Yeah.
I'm not swimming in the, well, I do swim in the snow every once in a while, but
Yeah. I mean,
but we just get cold.
it's the same. It's the 1 to 3 minutes of cold exposure.
Yeah, for sure.
As much. And if it's more than that, then something's going really well for me.
It was cool though. I mean, like, you know, yeah, it was a cool experience to go, sauna and then get in the cold plunge, sauna,
Yeah.
get in the cold plunge. I got PTSD from the cold plunge. I don't think I'm going to do it for a while.
Yeah. You need to.
I'm telling you, I love telling you about benefits of things.
Yeah.
That I'm still like, yeah, don't do that shit. I tell people all the time, like, triangles are great.
Yeah.
Triangles are great. I don't triangle nobody because, man, size of my body, if you smush me, I'm going to be hurt for a couple of days.
Right.
And I've tried it a couple times, like to triangle somebody and then was like, nope, that's not for me. But hey, you should do triangles, man. They're awesome.
It is interesting, right? Like you hear people that do an extended amount of time, and I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and I have my, like, it's your own practice, right?
For sure.
It's your own practice, right? You can get in for a minute, you can get in for 10 minutes, right? Is there a right way to do it? Well, there's a scientific way that they've studied that you get the most benefit. There's a maximum effective dose.
Sure.
Right? Like here, the maximum effective dose is what's going to kill you. And let's just back it off just a little bit.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, you were like, even said, you were like, man, you were hammering down. Yeah, I was charging. I was like, I'm going to see. I want to test my body. Well, I tested my body. Mm-hmm. And I was not good. I mean, I honestly thought I had the flu. I thought I had the flu. I thought, is this COVID bullshit?
Yeah.
Is this one of those things where it's like, I'm manifesting me being sick? I left that place and I had heater on, all my clothes on, freezing.
Yeah.
Went to work, freezing. I sat there freezing. I ended up leaving work, went home, got in bed, and I was like, got the flu.
Yeah.
I have the flu. There's something wrong. And Misty's like, you are such a hypochondriac. What is wrong? You pretend to be so tough. And she's like,
right?
People could see you. I tease you right now, right? Dude, the next day, still cold. I was still cold. So I ended up looking to see like the negative benefits. I Googled like, what's a negative benefit? And so they said cold shock. Mm-hmm. Cold shock is just like a heat shock. It's like a heat exhaustion. And I think that's what it was. It was kind of like, I felt like the flu-like symptoms. My every bone hurt. My muscles hurt. I was like, what in the world? What did I do to myself? And then PTSD set in, and I was like, well, I'm not cold plunging anymore.
Right. And see, that's where like the science is like, okay, cool. That's what works for one subset of people, right? Mm-hmm. I worked with this girl back in Denver who was from Wisconsin, and she was like, yeah, I don't go in the cold. I'm like, why? She's like, I don't ski. I don't go in the cold. I'm like, why don't you go in the cold? She's like, well, I'm allergic to it. I get hives. I literally get hives when I go in the cold. And I was like, you get hives when you go in the cold? Mm. Yeah, it was.
Jesse was talking about today when he got and he was 5 minutes in the river.
Yeah.
Then went and trained.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have trained. And you got in the river.
Yes.
And went and trained today. And I was thinking, man, I admire that. I do think I could get around the cold just to not be a bitch.
No, and then maybe that's the practice for you, right? Like I didn't do 5 minutes. I was in there for maybe a minute, maybe a minute, right? And even when I'm in the cold plunge here, I'm like, I'll do a minute. I'm the same way. Like I enjoy the practice. I like the shock of it and like and I do feel the benefits in my hands, like the cramping and like, but I mean, I don't need to be a hero. What am I proving to anyone by spending 7 minutes in there? Right. Like I get that, like maybe it's mind over matter.
Sure.
Right. But I don't think that I have anything to prove to anyone in that type of practice.
Right.
Right. I'm doing the practice for whatever benefit I get out of it. Sure. It's my practice.
Yeah. It's funny because I kind of like think about how you and I were talking about truths and principles today,
Yeah.
Truths and principles, and people can tell you, well, this is the truth. This is the truth. And you're like, right. Okay, that's your truth.
It's your truth.
But there are principles. There's principles behind it, right?
Yes.
There's principles behind it, and I believe in those principles. but your truth could be your truth and my truth could be just slightly skewed or different. And I could defend the shit out of my truth.
Right.
I'll be like, this is the truth. And this is why it's the truth. And you're like, okay, but what about this? And then I'm like,
it's still the truth.
Yes, you make a valid point. And I believe your point, but this is the truth. This is the truth. Religion gets kind of seedy with that.
So bad.
Right?
So bad. Man.
We talked about that a little bit today.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I spent a lot of years, like somebody will show you evidence of something and you're like, yeah, but I mean, obviously cognitive dissonance kicks in, right? You want to protect your ego, right?
Sure.
Your brain is solving the problem. How do I protect myself? How do I protect the fragileness of my ego?
Sure.
Right. And I believe truth is subjective. Is there such a thing as universal truth? Well, I believe universal truth really means we as a collective consciousness have agreed to X, Y, or Z. We call it a flame because we all agreed that it's a flame.
Agreed.
A flame.
A flame.
Right? We call it a book because we've all agreed that this is going to be called a book. Right? We have certain things like that we could consider truths, right? But what is truth?
Sure.
What is the truth?
Right.
I mean, there's a difference too between telling the truth and like, what is the truth?
Right. Yeah, because you could be like, well, a flame is also a light.
It's also a light.
You're like,
right?
Wait, but it's a flame. And you're like, but it's also a light.
Right.
And so that's part of that whole, like, why you're doing what you're doing. Like, what you're doing, cool. And I'm proud of that. Like, I'll support everything that you're doing. You want to jump in that cold plunge for 5 minutes? I'm going to support you.
Yep.
If you start to feel bad, I'm going to tell you why you're feeling bad.
Yeah.
Right. And it's only going to be like, it's not like I'm a scientist. Right.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm talking to people about breath work, there's a lot of ways to do breath work.
Right.
You want to find somebody that you resonate with, that you agree with, that you feel like they are only going to get you better. They're only their job is to get you better. There may be better. There may be somebody better out there today.
Right.
Professor said it today.
Right.
He's not for everybody. He said, I'm not for everybody, but I believe in what I'm teaching you. And I was like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, that's easy for me.
It's passion.
Right. I understand that. Like, I'm not for everybody with breath work. I'm not. The way that I do my breath work, the way that I believe in breath work is just my own personal take on it and my personal practices. And then I go back to why I'm doing it. What are my principles of why I'm doing my breath work, right?
Yeah.
And what am I trying to gain from it, right? Just like when you're telling me things that you're doing, right? Like, it's cool, man. Like, I'm stoked for you,
right?
You know, it may not be for me,
right?
And that's cool. You could be like, cool, man. Well, here's some other people you can talk to, but just make sure that you're doing some sort of work, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you bring up an interesting point. When I tried to force my truth on you, my subjective truth on you,
sure.
Like, I can respect your truth, and this is why I do tend to default to principles. Right? There is there's a universal ethical polarity to them, right?
Sure.
Like a principle is true for both people. And I know I'm using the word true, but like, if I treat you, if I'm expecting trust from you, right? Like, trust is mutual. Like, it's a two-way street. It looks the same way. It is a mirror.
Agreed.
Right. If I'm being honest with you, right? Like, honesty it's bi-directional.
Agreed.
There's some bi-directional to it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Right. Whereas, like, people will die on their sword, like truth for certain truths.
Yeah.
Right. Will. Like, think about like the flat earthers or the,
I know
the
people they'll be like, well, no, like, vaccinations are not true.
Right.
You should not get vaccinated. And you're like, okay, well, why? Well,
why?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. And then when you start to just die on your laurels, like, you're like, man, I'm dying on this sword. And then they start questioning, and then you get angry. It's probably because somebody's questioning you, now you have to defend how you are. And now you get worried.
Ego. Yeah.
You get worried because you're like, shit, what if I'm wrong?
As a missionary, that was me, right? Like, you go and you debate with somebody on the Bible. Like, how stupid is it to debate with somebody over a book?
Right.
Like, what do I have to gain?
Yeah.
Right? Is this person actually going to join my religion because I can show them something and we're arguing?
Sure.
Right? Like there's a level of contentiousness there.
Yeah. That would be hard. That would be hard for sure. Like, to defend, especially because you're young.
Yeah.
When you're on a mission and you're young, and so you're like really want to like prove how your scriptures, your stuff, and you have so much ego at that time, as as a young man, and so you're defending it, and people are questioning you, and you don't quite know how to handle somebody questioning what your truth is at that point, right? And so you have a hard time. I always find it interesting that they send you out that young,
right,
to preach something that they find so. Like, religion is not like some small subject. It's a big subject, right? And I always found it interesting that you get sent out so young. That was one thing that I always think is like, why would I listen to a 19-year-old? You and I have different lives. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, we have different lives. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think that's an interesting, as we kind of like roll that part of like this podcast, like just remember, like, no matter what, respect, right? It goes a long way. Sure. And you respect what other people bring, what other people give. And that's why with jiu-jitsu, like, you respect people, and you don't want to disrespect certain aspects of it, right? You don't want to disrespect certain aspects, because then somebody has to correct you. Yeah. Right. They have to correct you. Yeah. And so as long as we respect people and we understand that, like, we don't know everything, right? We don't, but in our 40, I can't remember how old you are. 42 and 45-year-old worlds. Yeah. We've seen a lot of things, and so there's times that we can be like, hey, this is a principle, and your truth can be a little different than mine. Right. But you can base both of these around a good principle. Right. And when we talk to young men, and when we discuss this with our younger generations and our younger children, younger men, we want to remind them, like, hey, be cool, like, with your ego and your truths. Right. Be cool with those things, because they could be bullshit at your 19-year-old age, right? Yeah. And when you turn 45, you could be like, what the heck was I thinking about? Don't let anything stick to you. Yeah. Don't be so defined by external sources, right? Agreed. Like, know who you are. Sure. Know who you are. Know what you stand for. Know what you're willing to do. What you're willing. Have some non-negotiables. Know what you're willing to stand up for. Sure. What you're willing to really die on your sword for. But don't get so caught up protecting your ego that you start to lose touch with humanity. Sure. Right? Yeah. That you lose respect for the other person on the other end of the conversation. Yeah, for sure. Right? Because at the end of the day, what does it matter? What does it? Yeah. And then you go, now, if you offend somebody, or if you offend their principles, now that it has to be escalated, right? And you don't want that kind of you don't want that kind of damage in your life, because what if it's unfixable, right? Right. And so I always appreciate, like, when you and I have these like cool conversations when we're driving, and then I can like kind of process them in my own way, right? Because I really do appreciate with principles. Like, I appreciate your principles. I appreciate people's principles. Like, if that's your principle, cool, man, then I appreciate you. And I can respect that. But if you give me some bullshit of like, this is the truth. Right. And it's like, well, I can disagree with that all day long. Right. Right. Then I'm like, nah, I don't really, I'd rather argue about that. Right. And fight with you about that. Right. Do you remember I remember having times when I just like to argue. I just want to argue. Yeah. When I could tell somebody's stuck in their way, like, that to me, like, my brain lights up, and I'm like, I kind of want to pick at that a little bit. Yeah, let's go see how fun we can make with this. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're not having fun when your cheeks turn red. Right. And I think I remember a conversation we were having in an Uber one night, and I was, I'd had a few, and the Uber driver was telling us that Tai Chi was better than jiu-jitsu. Oh. And I'm in the car with the guys from the ice rink, and all of you guys do jiu-jitsu. Yeah, 3 of us are in there doing jiu-jitsu, and I could see
Tristan over there, his ears were steaming. Like, and I was just like, oh yeah, tell me more. How do you do it? How do you pull your chi? Like, what do you do to, you know? And I'm like, I'm just being inquisitive.
Sure.
I'm asking questions and I'm like trying to get this guy to open up. And, I could tell that he was like, he was into it.
Yeah. He believed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just kept asking questions, every question.
That's so funny. It's a good, man. I think like that's a good part to have in your life. I think, like you said, you have moments in your life, and then at the end of the day, like we're in that moment of our lives where you and I can kind of look back at our lives and be like, we've had some really cool experiences, and that's why, like, going forward, that's why we're always growing, right? That's why this year your Thanksgiving was what you wanted to make of it, right?
Absolutely.
And our Christmases are going to be what we want to make it. You have the kids this year. Last year we had such a good Christmas. Our family, we went out we didn't even cook anything. We went to a restaurant.
Right.
I thought that was amazing, right?
So fun.
And so you have, like, you can always make adjustments, and as you get older, you learn quicker when you're like, that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
That shouldn't have happened, and I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. So we went to Mexico, and we go to the same place in Cabo every time. Shout out to the Solmar Resort. If you get a chance, Solmar Resort, hands down, best place I've ever been to. It's on my personal best, though. It is not big. There's not a lot of extravagant stuff that goes on. It's got 2 pools. The ocean you can't even swim in. It's really close to the marina. Same people work there. I've been there for 6 years now.
Wow.
Same people work there. So I've developed some really cool relationships. We actually ended up going off the resort with a friend. And I was terrified. Really? Right? Because, like, you have all these, like, ideas in your head about Mexico, like getting off the beaten path, like, and you're like, man, what if there's not very good cell phone service?
Right.
Everybody drives wildly.
Yeah. And
you just don't ever know, right? And we literally had the best day that I've ever had. Probably the best day of the year for me. We went to a cool beach and had a cool, they cooked some dinner. They cooked some food for us. They cooked their own version of ceviche. It was amazing. We had beers on the beach, and the beach was mellow. It was cool. We listened to music. We jammed, and we were like, this is amazing. We went to their house. And they cooked us food there, but they live in a very small cement floor house, and they are the happiest people. One of them speaks a little bit of English. The family, the wife and the kids, know English. And we were able to, like, have a good time. We played soccer, but, I didn't grow up speaking Spanish, but when I get there, I can kind of eventually immerse myself where I can understand a lot. I just can't talk as fast as they can. But me and my buddy's wife were having a conversation, more her, and she was, just throwing out the Spanish, and I was like, I could get most to understand what she was telling me, but we had, like, such a good time, and I would encourage everybody. Like, I know that Mexico gets a bad rap sometimes, right? Like, there are some scary places in Mexico, and I've had some scary. People tell me about some scary things that have happened, and I know it happens, right? But I don't trust the news enough to go, it's all bad. Right. It's not. Right. And the people are great. They are genuine in there. And, they want you to have a good time. They want to see people come down there and have a good time in Mexico, because we found out the day of that they were going to up the daily rate, so you get paid by a day, to $14 a day. What? They were gonna up the rate. That's what you were gonna get next year, was $14 a day. That's the, what do we call that? Minimum wage. Minimum wage. $14 a day. And those guys are down there working. And I'm Hispanic. I wasn't born in Mexico, so I don't consider myself Mexican. But my lineage comes from Mexico, right? So when people talk about close the borders, I'm like, no, let's make the borders where it's not so everybody can just come in. Right. But let's make it so that if they want to come in and they want to work, like, let's make it, like, good for them that way. Right. So I struggle with that kind of a thing when I hear people like close the borders and do this. And I'm like, man, I know a lot of Mexicans in here that are not here legally that would pay way more taxes than you.
Right.
And they work way harder than you.
Right.
And they are way better people than you. And they are genuine, and I love them. And so I'm super happy to be, of Mexican descent. And it really like opened my eyes about like how cool Mexico is.
I mean, I love Mexico, and I joke, and I'll probably get in trouble for telling this joke, but like, I'm of a similar feeling. Like, I feel like, what are borders really? Some imaginary lines we've divvied up. Like, but at the end of the day, like, what is the difference between Pfizer and the cartel?
Yeah.
One of them spent their marketing budget on guns, and the other, spent it on corporate lobbying. Like, there's not that much difference, right? Like, we've decided, and it's just the labels we've put on things, right?
Agreed.
Right. With the collective has labeled one bad and one good.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah, and you can justify whatever you want to justify with certain things, right? Like you'll say, "Oh, it's okay if they do this, but it's worse if you do this."
Right.
But in all reality, it's all bad, right? Yeah, and like I said, it was hands down greatest day I've ever had in Mexico. And this year, I've had a lot of cool experiences. I've had some really fun with my kids. But Misty and I both were like, man, that was cool. It was so cool. And we loved it. We enjoyed getting Misty to talk Spanish because she loves talking. She loves to like learn new things. And so she'll ask a lot of questions. Hey, how do you say this? Hey, how do you say this? And then she'll practice it all day long. And then the next day she'll say it, and they love it.
Right.
Because, here's this white girl that is just immersing herself in the environment, and they love it.
Right.
It also helps that she's good looking and she's,
but she's happy and
she's happy,
like genuine. And like, no, I mean, it's cool. It's relating to people, right? Yeah. Relating to people. That's what I've always found too, right? They are some of the happiest people I've ever been around. And when you relate on their level and you make an attempt to connect, you build a true human connection.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing when we can look at each other and say, hey, we may not have a lot of the same truths.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like we can share a connection on a human level.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to know more about the Solmar Resort, hit me up. I'll let you know all about it. And if you want to know more about Mexico, man, I got some cool things. And I know some cool people that have been there, and they've, our friend Ray drives down, and he drives all the way down. Drives all the way down. And it's like, man, like, again, genuine people, and genuinely appreciative of my heritage and the fact that like I am of Mexican descent. And, I love the fact that I go to Cabo because it's just Southern California. And a bunch of Americans down there, anyways, driving 100 miles an hour.
Some of the best cuisine.
Yeah, it was cool. My friend was he grew up on a ranch in Jalisco, and Jalisco is kind of like known for the tequila. Mm-hmm. So he had some tequila from his city. And man,
is it like? Sorry, I don't mean.
No,
I was going to say, is it like Germany or like England, where like each little city has their own? Yeah. Their own ale. And
tequila is like one of those things where like people like, I think we've talked about this before, that like they put a lot of effort into it.
It's very craft. It's very craft, right? From what I've studied.
Good tequila, it doesn't taste like bottom of the barrel Jose Cuervo. It actually tastes really smooth, which can get you a lot of trouble, right?
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, he likes the tequila, and I like to make sure he drinks a lot of tequila. I don't drink a lot, and I just barely started in the last little while being able to drink tequila. And only one day did we drink a little too much tequila, and so the next day we had to take the time off. Chill out on that, because if not, my wife and my sister would have probably tuned us up a little bit, because we get a little lippy. But so I wanted to share that story, man. I'm appreciative of this platform to be able to talk about that kind of a thing, because it's important to me to remind people that, like, man, like, there's hard workers out there. Doesn't matter the skin color of you, doesn't matter the skin color of me, like, we can always find common ground. And like, in every culture and in every kind of society, there's bad sides of it, right? There's bad sides of that, right? And so, it was a good experience. But
Yeah.
you know, we come home to our house and it's huge, right?
Yeah.
We're setting up our Christmas, and it always makes me like to remind myself, like, to be grateful for what I have and when I was born and how things go for me. You know, I have such good friends around me, and you know, we've talked about if this was going to be our last episode of the year, but maybe we'll have one more where we can really talk about like what we're grateful for and like what our goals are for the next year, and like see how things go, man.
I was really hoping we would debate like, should you heel hook and boogie?
Man, we're gonna talk about
that. Let's wrap it here for the night. And man, I'm grateful for you. Grateful for another good episode. And
fun.
Everybody's people. Everybody's got. We all breathe.
It's good, man.
We all breathe.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's all just
let's hang out together.
Yeah.
Let's find some common unity.
Right,
some common ground.
Amen.
Let's see here. Anything coming up this week?
Man, just training. The slopes are open. We're gonna do some. I think I'm gonna ditch Friday.
The snowboards down there.
Yeah. I think we're gonna ditch school Friday and head up and do a couple runs. And
cool.
Yeah, Cozy's got some play tryouts, so I got to figure out what to do with that Saturday because I want to train.
Yeah.
Down in Lehigh, but training. Catch me on the mat Monday. Typically Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Sure.
That's all I got going on. Look me up on Lost Boy Scouts. Kind of just wrapping up the year at this point.
Sure.
I got a couple wild projects I'm working on.
Yeah.
As always, some mad scientist stuff that I want to get done.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. Same. Just got finish up my website. I was on vacation for a couple of days, and so I got to finish up my website stuff. Launch that, and then I've got signed up for January 6th for the competition. So
are you competing?
Competing January 6th. Yeah. For right now. See how it goes. Man, sometimes like going up in weight is just kind of hard on my body.
Yeah.
And so we got Big Will competing, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Really?
Yeah, Big Will's signed up.
Okay.
I'm excited for that.
All right. I'm going to go cheer. I'm not competing.
Yeah, and that's about it. I'm coaching wrestling and coaching. I went to a wrestling meet today, so that kind of gets my blood back into talking to those kids and being around that environment. So hang out with them, and then that's it. I think Braxton's coming home. He's driving home for Christmas.
All right.
We're going to meet his girlfriend and her kid. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Like good for him, you know?
Yeah.
I think he heard that he might be able to get out in a year. So
cool.
Kind of stoked about that. We are not going to Zach Bryan now. So if you know anybody looking for tickets in San Diego, the last week of December, right before.
He's here Saturday.
What?
He's here. What is it? Thursday, Friday or Saturday? He's here. He's in Salt Lake this week. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Salt Lake this week.
You sure?
Pretty sure. Maybe it's. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's kind of a bummer, but it's cool. He's gonna be home. So Misty says, "Yeah, we're gonna stay home," and I kind of got bummed out a little bit about it, but it's cool. I get to hang out with my kid.
Yeah.
See
him.
You
make some money on those tickets.
Yeah, for sure. And so that's about it.
Yeah,
I'm good to go.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next in a couple weeks. Catch us on the socials, lostboyscouts.com, Lost Boy Scouts on Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. And Compassionate Gentleman, right?
I haven't been doing Compassionate Gentleman so much. I've been just doing DRay.Oconia just because it's hard to do both.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I am a compassionate gentleman, but I don't spend that much time on social media to do both places.
Kind of sick of it.
But you can find me at Park City Jiu-Jitsu.
There you
Most days, ask around and you can find me.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
See you guys.
Rise up and turn it back.